Today's throwback. William Allen Vivour, richest Nigerians of the 1800s and the early 1900s, and the timeless lessons we must learn from them for lasting riches. In 1807, Britain outlawed the African slave trade, took over coastal Sierra Leone and called its capital Freetown, the name it is called till today. It was there that all Africans freed from attempted enslavement on the high seas were settled, and many were qualitatively educated. Between 1807, when the slave trade was officially outlawed, and 1863, when the last slaving ship was interdicted, about 50,000 Africans were released and set free in Freetown. Many returned to their natal or ancestral home, but many also remained in Freetown. Notable among those who journeyed back to their natal or ancestral home were Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther, Crispin Curtis Adeniyi Jones, Samuel Johnson, the original author of History of Yorubas, and his medical doctor brother, who made sure that the work was ultimately published after the author's death. Christopher Shakpara Williams, who became the first lawyer in Nigeria. James Pinson Labula Davis, who first planted cocoa on mainland West Africa near the Adiyan River before Iju Waterworks was built proximate to it in 1910. And Thomas Babington Macaulay, founder of Nigeria's first college, CMS Grammar School, on Lagos Island, now located in Bariga for some decades. Babington Macaulay was also the father of the famous Nigerian nationalist Herbert Macaulay. William Allen Vivour, 1830 to 1890, was incontrovertibly the single most successful planter of the late 1800s in Africa due to his enormous and sprawling cocoa plantation in Fernando Po, now in today's Equatorial Guinea. It must herewith be emphatically stated also that many Nigerian coastal families from Lagos to Calabar, Port Harcourt to Bonny, with English, European, and Portuguese Brazilian names, often have some links with Fernando Po and or Sierra Leone. He was the son of a recaptive, that is, freed slave from an interdicted slaving ship, of a Warri Yoruba stock, captured and sold into slavery from what is now present-day Lagos, Nigeria, and resettled in Sierra Leone by the British Navy's West Africa Squadron, and eventually settled in present-day Equatorial Guinea and Nigeria. The name Vivour is a colloquial contraction of the word survivor, which is related to the circumstances that led to his father's arrival at Sierra Leone. William Allen Vivour was born in Sierra Leone and had 4 siblings, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. By 1855, William Allen Vivour migrated from Sierra Leone to set up his burgeoning business base in Nigeria and Fernando Po. He soon entered the trade of palm oil and yams with the indigenous people. With time, he had saved enough money to buy a ship from John Old, the founder of the famous company of the same name still existing in Nigeria, with the aim to expand his palm oil business. W.A. Vivour's interest in palm oil grew so significantly that it brought him into serious conflict with King Jaja of Okpobo in the time leading up to the Jaja Ibeno War. At the time, Vivour, like King Jaja of Okpobo, was trading major quantity of palm oil directly, tons of quantity of palm oil directly with England, and had established trading factories on the Kwa Ibo River of the then Palm Oil River region, later Oil River Protectorate. To achieve this, he had agreements with the Ibeno hierarchy. The Ibeno sovereign was independent of Jaja's Okpobo. Jaja himself knew this and said, quote, "Although I had no claim to the territory near the mouth of the Kwa Ibo River, Mr. Vivour would still have no right to trade there, for any oil which he could get would either be bought in or drawn from my markets." However, the other European traders like John Old and Her Majesty's Consul supported Vivour's inclination to free trade. Vivour prospered in the lucrative palm oil trade until the palm oil boom came to an end due to the general decline in oil prices by 1861. The significant fortune Vivour made in the palm oil business, he invested heavily in cocoa farming. By the mid-1880s, he was the largest landowner on the island of Fernando Po and employed a massive labor force of men from diverse ethnic origins recruited from the whole of west coast of Africa and beyond. It was once written, quote, on the Bay of San Carlo, the resplendent cocoa plantation of W.A. Vivour, which is of such magnitude that European seafarers identified it as a sight to behold when journeying through West Africa. W.A. Vivour married Amelia Bellicon, a member of one of the prominent Fernandino families. They had several children, one of which was Garnet Vivour, father to the RAF pilot Bankole Vivour and Justice R.W.A. Rhodes Vivour. The following is also written about his money management skills. Quote, as regards the spendthrift nature of his contemporaries, Bowman painted a very intimate picture of Vivour as one that was efficient and hated waste. He died and was buried in Fernando Po in 1890s. After Vivour's death, a visiting African American noted that the opulence of his tomb bore testimony to his magnificent business success. Quote, in symmetry is a monument erected to the memory of Mr. William Vivour. This monument is 40 feet high and was brought from Liverpool at the cost of $600, tens of millions of naira now. At his death, his widow Amelia Bellicon Vivour owned the largest cocoa plantation on the island of Fernando Po, 400 hectares in San Carlo. The didactic W.A. Vivour's life shows the importance of nimbleness, ability to change with the times and the need of the market in business in order to be relevant through the changing or cyclical phases of business. He, like Jaja Vokobo, made profound wealth from the palm oil boom of the 1800s, but when the trade declined, he diversified into cocoa plantation and was reported to have had the biggest plantation of any crop in the Atlantic littoral side of Africa. He was also recorded to hate waste of funds on unproductive activities. And lastly, knew the importance of education as he sent his siblings and children to Britain to have the best of education money could buy. I guess that is why one of his great-great-great-grandchildren, Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour, is in electoral cum judicial contention for the management of arguably Africa's greatest metropolitan economy, Lagos State, more than 120 years after his death. And that is where the show ends tonight. I'm Bola Oba.